Miss Alisha, tell us a crazy story from prison.
Okay. I don't have a lot of crazy stories because I stayed in the background, but there was one that I had.
Everybody's got crazy stories.
Well, I have a crazy story, but this one particularly happened to me.
Okay.
I can tell you others, but this one happened to me. So I had got my time, 30 years, and they sent me to Lake Providence. I was going crazy. I'm like, I can't stay in this warehouse, stocked up here, ain't no education, ain't nothing doing. So I met this lady, and we just became friends. And one day, one of the security came to the thing because she was telling me about her daughter and stuff, and she missed her daughter and things like that. And the security came to the door and brought a cassette that her daughter had sent to her.
Oh, man, you went when they still had cassettes, huh?
Yes.
You were young.
Absolutely. I was 18 when I went in. Mm-hmm. Very young.
They brought her a cassette?
Well, they brought her a cassette that was from her daughter, you know, speaking to her or whatever. But the lady told her, she said, you can't have this. But she was so rude, she slammed the door in her face. Me, because I'm confident and because of the lifestyle that I came out of, I'm like, and that I had befriended her and it made me mad. So I was like, okay, I got this. She said in her bunk, I went and put all my stuff in my locker. I went right out there because I was going to talk to them and ask them about what's going on. Why was she so rude? And when I went out there, I was upset and I was trying to explain to the captain and the lady came up on me, and back then I talked with my hands.
Hell yeah.
And when I was talking with my hands, I guess she thought that I was going to hit her or something. And when she came at me, she swung. And when she swung at me, I just dove in at her and ripped her.
The guard?
The security guard, but this is what saved me. The captain was sitting right there and seen her swing at me first.
Oh, good.
Yes, it was like, and the lady was
So did
Amazon.
you beat her up, though?
I was tall, but she was taller than me, like an Amazon. So when she came at me, guess what? She was coming down. Look, I was getting in.
Pop, pop.
Yeah, and then she went to swing. I grabbed her hair, and I gripped. It was on the other side of the warehouse or whatever. But anyways, after they got us apart or whatever, so they sent me back to the dorm. But the guy, the prison next door, the men's prison, got mad, the warden, because they didn't put me in lockdown. The captain didn't put me in lockdown because I told her, I said, I want to press charges.
Mm-hmm.
So, because she gave me what I wanted, they put me in lockdown. 2 days later, they shipped me to St. Gabriel because I was like, I can't stay here. I got time. I will go crazy in here.
Yeah.
Because the women, all they were doing was smoking cigarettes, bulldagging, and just, I'm like, no, I will go crazy in here, and it's not going to be good. You know, facing a 30-year sentence was not, it was, I mean, you can imagine just.
I've been in satellite camp. I know how to.
What's bodagging mean?
Bulldagging.
Same thing as a guy getting punked.
You know what a punk is?
We call it bag-dagging, though.
I'm imagining, is it rape?
No, that's not. It's willing participants.
Sometimes.
Well, yeah.
So, I mean, the men, again, is different than the women. Because a lot of times in the women you see them compliant, but at the same time, a woman is very emotional. And you'll see the older ones go get the younger ones, but they'll corrupt them. And at the same time, it's like an emotional thing. They become friends, and the next thing you know, they become lovers.
Mm-hmm.
But this thing, they got husbands and all that, and I be looking like, you know,
That's how it happens that's how it happens in the men's prison. It ain't no different.
Yeah, it's no different. But I'm like, I had one girl. I was talking to a friend of mine, and it was her friend, and she was like, "Oh, she get down." The girl heard and spoke up for me. She was like, "Oh no, she's a Christian." I'm like, I was looking at her, baby. You have no idea who I am. I just looked at her, but she got to know who I am, and she was very.
Then she didn't make no more sexual passes at you.
Oh, she really didn't. I mean, I came out of a lifestyle that was street life.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Penitentiaries to Penthouses. I'm Scott. On the left, your best friend in real estate.
All your real estate needs.
What kind of houses you buy?
We buy dumps. For anybody out there who has a property that is in a bad condition, real bad condition, or needs serious renovations, please feel free to reach out to either Scott or Scott, and we'd love to have the opportunity to chat with you, buy it, and flip it.
And if your roof is bad. In front of us, we got Miss Alisha. Is it Disotell?
Yes.
Disotell.
Disotell. Yes, but don't have the H in it.
Ah, gotcha. Silent.
Disotell.
Disotell.
Absolutely.
Sounds neat. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
I'm born and raised in Shreveport.
That's East Texas.
It's right there by the Arklay.
No, I call it East Texas.
Okay, well, why do you
call
call
it
it East Texas?
Accents.
Well, mine's different because everybody says it's different. I've lived in Oklahoma, Arkansas, Texas, and Louisiana.
Oh.
So, and I've been down in Baton Rouge. I mean, I've been all over. So I've got a mixture of
You have a Texas accent.
country. Well, I can change it. I can sound gangster for you if you want me to.
Do
I
it.
told you I've
Do
lived in
it.
every-
Keep
Do
your
it.
country accent for the
No,
podcast.
Absolutely. But part of my story, I might have to,
Do what you got to do. But so you're from Shreveport.
I'm from Shreveport, born and raised.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about your upbringing and then kind of your experience growing up and then what led you to prison.
Okay. So I was born and raised in Shreveport. My dad had his own business, JD's Tree Service. It was kind of like a medium, lifestyle in a way, I guess you would say that. But my dad
Like
was
a middle class?
Yeah, but a little bit lower, but it wasn't poor. But
You had what you needed.
absolutely. And he was 19 when he started his own business.
Mm-hmm.
So everything that I've learned today, I got from him, to work hard, entrepreneurship, and everything. So with that, I learned how to work young, cutting firewood, using a chainsaw, getting a dump truck.
You didn't have no splitter, did you?
Yes, we did.
No,
Absolutely.
I'm talking about the mechanical one?
Absolutely. And
Oh,
we used
really?
Yes. We used to cut firewood and sell it, cords and everything. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I would think about it. I was 6, 7, 8 years old. Yes, sir. So with him having his business and stuff, so it was normal. But there came a time that my dad got on drugs, and I watched. My dad had everything going for him, and my mom kept the books for him. And I watched him get on drugs, and I watched everything be taken from him. And it was devastating. And to be honest with you, I didn't realize years later I wasn't physically abused or sexually abused, but I was mentally and emotionally abused as a teenager after the period whenever my dad got on drugs. My mom followed him. They lost everything. And then we began to bounce around from Arkansas and this, and he started making methamphetamines and stuff. Not that stuff they're making now, that shake and bake.
Anhydrous ammonia?
They were making the stuff out there with the real stuff. It was
Breaking Bad type of stuff.
Yes, it was that. He was connected with some people. So even as a child, I was introduced to that. And I was a daddy's girl. And so...
So when he got off like that, what did that do to you? From a little girl standpoint, seeing your dad start using drugs, how did that affect you?
Well, because I was a daddy's girl, I looked up to him. And to me, when I look back, he catered to me more than he did my brother, my sister, and then I didn't even realize my oldest brother, that's a year older than me, wasn't even his son. We didn't find that out till later, which I'll get to. But I guess I idolized him because he was everything, provider, everything that, a father should be. But it also affected me when I got into the street life and I got on drugs, and it led me to taking somebody's life.
Mm-hmm.
So it affected me. It was just a domino effect.
Did you act out? Is that what you're trying to say?
I'm about to get there too.
Okay.
Did you know that he had a drug problem whenever you were that young, or did it take you to get older and wiser to realize?
No, I learned real fast. So I knew about the marijuana. I remember a situation, my grandmother, she was staying, and he was growing plants in the backyard, and he said, "Oh, those are tomato plants." My grandma came in and told us. So at that time, I was like, I went and picked them out, and I went to tell my grandma. She says, "Girl, you gonna cause a chaos on this block." It was fun. It's funny now, but back then I was like, "Well, I ain't no shoot. You said he was on drugs, so I'm going to get rid of him." It was funny back then, but it caused a situation. But so I knew about the marijuana, but he got introduced. I didn't find out later, to crack cocaine by my mother's brother.
Your uncle?
My uncle, yes. But I didn't find that out till later. But I watched him and with his business, and his foreman and stuff like that were on drugs. But I didn't know then, but I would watch their movement. And I remember this scene has stuck with me forever. I was in my bed, where there's two of them. I was stuck in my bedroom, and he had a shop in the backyard, and I was laying in my bed. I think I got in trouble. I was on punishment. And I was just looking out at the back, and I kept seeing, flashes in the shop. I didn't know what he was doing, but when I looked back, he was smoking crack. I watched him lose everything. And I also remember a time my mom and him was on it. I was asleep. They brought some guy over there, and I woke up. My dad came crawling through the window. I'm like, Daddy, what you doing? He was like, girl, I'm about to go lay down and just go back to sleep, baby. I love you. I said, okay, Daddy, I love you too. And so the next morning I woke up and I went to the living room and my mom and the guy sitting right there on the porch. And I'm like, what are y'all doing? Oh, we're waiting on your daddy. I said, waiting on Daddy? I said, Daddy been home. What y'all doing? And all hell broke loose. My mom cut up. So what I'm assuming now is what happened is they gave my dad money to go get the drugs, and he never came back. So he probably did them, left the guy there with my mom, and so it was chaotic. But I remember that. But with the methamphetamines, the first time that I ever did drugs, I was 13 years old. My dad had a methamphetamines lab. It started in Arkansas. It started in Oklahoma. Then it gravitated to Oklahoma. And then it gravitated to Mansfield, Louisiana. Mm-hmm. And he was cooking in my grandmother's house, and she was staying with two black ladies. And I'm like, my mom was like, you go get it, the police. And it was crazy. But we finally got a house out there in Mansfield, and my dad was cooking the methamphetamines in, the bedroom. But see, mentally and emotionally, how I was abused is because when an individual is on drugs, whether it's a parent or whatever, their morals are corrupted. So because they didn't want to get in trouble, whatever, they would tell us, don't say nothing to the police. And, we found ourselves stealing. And I found myself going into the big supermarkets or whatever and getting the big kitchen matches, because we used to take the razor blades and get the sulfur off of it because they needed that for the methamphetamines. And this is 13 years old. So I was into
So you were collecting supplies to cook dope?
Yes, at 13 years old. But this is the thing. And I watched, he had the pirate plates, the tubes, all that in there. And my mom was going to work and stuff like that. I don't remember a lot about my mom because she would work or whatever. And I remember being on pills and stuff, but my dad was in my life back then. And that's what I remember the most. So anyways, all that went on. And one day he came through and he was like, I'm going to give you something. I'm going to put something in your coffee. So he put me some meth in my coffee and I drank it. I think I stood in the bathroom for like 13 hours, like, with the toothbrush on the toilet, for real. And, my brother came in, he was like, what are you doing? I don't even remember if I was trying to just play it off. I'm like, I'm cleaning the house or whatever, and I didn't even let them know. And, mind you, my brother's a year younger than me, and my sister's a year younger than him. So we were all stepping stones. My oldest brother that was a year older than me, he was in Oklahoma with my grandmother. So during that time, that was my first introduction to methamphetamines. Mind you, I did marijuana before that. We were in Shawnee, and my dad had a joint rolled up, and they were back there cooking meth or whatever. I didn't know that's what they were doing at the time. I guess I got bold, and I went and got the joint. My dad had a Cadillac, and I got me and my brother went out in the back of the Cadillac, was smoking the joint and laughing our ass off. We were just laughing, and my sister came out. She sat in the front seat. Me and my brother just laughing at each other, and it became more funnier. So it was marijuana, then it turned around to meth. So
and this is at 13?
Gateway drug.
13. It really wasn't even a gateway drug, if you would say that.
Never mind, scratch that.
Gateway. Come on, it's legal in Colorado. My mom stays in Colorado. They freely smoke weed and stuff. They go to a smoke shop, and I'm like, what are you doing, Mom? Oh, I'm like, Mom, you don't need that stuff.
Yeah.
But
so this is at 13 you started?
13. Mm-hmm. So during that time, it was in 1996, December. Our house got raided by the Jump Out Boys. They came in with guns to our heads, and it was absolutely crazy. And I'm like, I remember when they came in, my dad jumped across, and they had guns, and I'm running to my dad, and they had guns to my head, and I'm like, hey, I really didn't care, but I was trying to get to my dad. That was my heart.
This is a rival family?
No, the Jump Out Boys.
No, the Jump Out Boys are the
the
task force.
Task for narcotics or something.
Okay. I'm thinking like it's like
This is not
a TV show.
This is not
Jump.
Was it 21 Jump Street?
It's like hey, y'all are in our turf. Now we're gonna rob y'all's product.
No.
Y'all talking about police.
No.
He's showing his. We said he wasn't green anymore. He's got his green shorts on, so today he's being
bright.
Oh, yeah, you green. See, you green because you thought that, there's different walks of life. Mm-hmm. That's in the black neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. You got the white neighborhoods, the hippies, they just as gangster. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Because I took one dude because he was doing something to me. I'm like, okay, I got somewhere I'm going to take you. I ain't know where I was going, but I took him out there to the white boys. Guess what? You want to play with me? All right, I'm going to take you to my cousin. All these white dudes with shotguns come out. He looking like... I was talking, look, I ain't even know the girl. I went up there, I said, look, I need you to act like you my cousin. Started talking to her like my cousin. I said, don't play with me. Don't, baby, look, them white boys is just as crazy as the ones in the hood. Absolutely. Guess what, if not more
Shout out
crazier.
the white boys.
If
The
not
white
more crazy.
ones. So anyways, let's divert back to the story. So the people kicked in the door.
Yes. In December.
And what they did with you.
Okay, so this is what happened. My dad went to jail. My mom did not go to jail. So this is the part that began I got lost. I didn't know who I was. I was devastated. So my mom didn't go to jail. My dad went to jail. They took me, my brother, and my sister into foster care. The first night we were all together. After the first night, they kept my brother and sister together and ripped me apart. Not only did they rip me apart from my mom and dad, they ripped me apart from my brother and sister. Think about it, a 13-year-old thrown to the foster system. 13 years. In the foster system, nobody really wants a 13-year-old. They look at that as a trouble child. And I went through terrible experience through, the foster care system. So I began to act out. I was in detention centers. I was in behavioral hospitals. I was physically abused in one of the group homes in Monroe. I can't even remember what it was, by their staff. Bruised up. I'm a team of them. And when I went to the conference or whatever, the monthly things they had with my mom and them, my mom looked at me and like, what in the hell? And she was so devastated because my eyes was black and everything. And I cut up even more. So they wouldn't really let me see my mom, so I cut up more. I wound up kicking out a glass in the DF8, whatever they do.
DCFS?
Yes, in their office. And they put me in the back of a car, and I was still cutting up, and they almost hog-tied me to put me in the back because I was just like, they ripped me from the only thing that I knew, and to me that was devastating because I'm like, I had to learn how to survive. Yeah, I was young, but I had to learn survival skills really fast because you ripped me away from the only thing that I knew. I wasn't physically or I wasn't sexually abused by my mom and dad. So when they threw me they just took me from everything that I knew. So I went in there and they wanted me to, open up and share things with them. I'm looking at them like, I don't know you. And it's just, I began to act out because I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know what to do because it became a new experience. In a different household, groups of women and stuff, and it's like, it was just awkward. But through the 2 years that I stayed in foster care, my father was murdered. That was even more devastating. I was in Mandyfield Hospital, cutting up again.
How old were you?
At that time, I was 14, getting ready to be 15.
What happened? How did he die?
Okay, I'm about to give the story. He's one of those.
You don't have to go into great detail, but you just tell a short synopsis.
So, basically, he was murdered. It was a drug deal. I guess he was going to get drugs. And my mom was waiting on him, so that I was told. And he got shot 5 times with a 9mm, 3 times in the back and twice in the thigh. Mm-hmm. Somebody robbed him and left him on the railroad track. So I found that when they called me, they said, I'm sorry to tell you, but James, I'm like, which one? Because my brother's named James, too. And when they told me my dad, I was like devastated. Like my world crumbled. But what saved me, they let me go to the funeral. By that time, my brother had went into another foster home. Him and my sister went together. And when I went down to the funeral, my mom had told me, she says, Alisha, you need to start acting right because if not, I can't get y'all back. If you're acting up, they're not going to let you come to me. And when she told me that, because I love my mom and I respect, that's all I knew and I could trust, that's all she had to tell me. I became a leader in everything that I did. And after I finished that, they wound up putting me and my sister together in a Shongaloo. We stayed like 5 months. And then my mama got us back on December the 16th of 98. My dad was murdered April the 7th of 1998. So after that, more traumatized for me because once I got home and my mom got us back, I found out my oldest brother was only my half-brother. His dad was living with my mom. They had got back together, so I'm meeting his dad, and they're living together. And mind you, I was in school making A's and B's, and I was playing basketball. I love basketball. I was doing what I was supposed to do, but I really didn't know who I was. It was traumatizing because nobody, I didn't have the coping skills. I was just survival mode, whatever I got to do to survive. And so I was going to school, whatever, and I began to watch my brother. He dropped out of school. My mom gave him the car, but he was working. All his homeboys and stuff used to come to the house smoking weed and stuff like that. But when I would ask my mom, well, can I go to my friend's house or whatever? She was like, no. So I became rebellious. You letting him do that? So I started running away. So at that time, because the emotion, I was hurt, I was wounded, I was scarred from the emotional trauma. I didn't know who I was, and I was just longing for, I guess, somebody else. I don't know what I ran away, and I got introduced into the street life.
When we started the P2P podcast, the first thing we had to do was find a podcast platform that could handle the stories of redemption that we tell every single week, Scott.
And at the end of the day, we chose Buzzsprout. It was user-friendly even for two guys just starting out in the podcasting world.
Buzzsprout gets you listed on every major podcast platform. Gives you detailed analytics and other tools to promote your episodes.
And podcasting is easy when you have the right partners. And the team at Buzzsprout is passionate about helping you succeed.
If you really like us, follow the link in the show notes of this episode, and it lets Buzzsprout know that the P2P podcast sent you.
And you can save $20 by using our link if you sign up for one of the paid plans.
This is an easy way that you can help support the P2P podcast and save some bread.
Join over 100,000 podcasters already using Buzzsprout to get their message out to the world. You save money and support the P2P podcast by clicking the link in the show notes or description of this podcast today. Whenever you're running away, are you running away to someone to be with a group of people, or are you just like empty running away like, bonk this house, anywhere's just going to be better than where I'm at right now?
Well, I began to run away because, when I was at home, there was nothing to do. My mom really wasn't doing that with me. Again, I told y'all from the beginning, I don't remember anything when I was a child. My mama never did anything. I remember her as working, being the caretaker, but doing pills and always sleeping. That's all I remember. I didn't remember her saying, y'all want to go do something today? I don't remember that. I remember my
Where
dad.
were you going when you were running away?
I'm about to tell you. So I was in school, so I became promiscuous, and I began to, mess around with guys and stuff. But I was green, like you said. I was green in the dope world, in the street life, in the hood right then. So it was a guy that was liking me, and I'm gonna tell you the story because you got to listen to it. So me being green, so I'm with the boyfriend that's so-called. I'm thinking I didn't even know what the heck a boyfriend was then. I was just chilling and hanging out,
Mm-hmm.
And so, anyways, he took me to his mama's house, and they in his trailer or whatever, I'm like, okay, cool, So his mama called me. She was in the bathroom. She was like, hey, or whatever. And I went back there. She's like, you smoke? I'm thinking she's talking about weed. I'm like, yeah, I smoke. So she gave me $10. So she said, go out there and get one from one of the boys. I'm thinking I'm going to get a dime bag. I give the guy $10. He put this white little thing in my hand. I'm like, what the fuck is this? So I took it back to her, but I didn't know. So when I went in there, and she was with her husband, and I was like, and I knew my dad was on that drug, and I knew my dad got murdered because of that. And it was a fear there too, but that's how I got inducted into smoking crack. So whenever, I didn't even get high that first time. I got suckered in. It's like the enemy just took me and sucked me in. So when I went in there, she was like, I gave it to her, and I'm like, and they hit it, and she's like, you want to hit? I'm like, okay. But whenever I did it, I didn't inhale it. I was blowing it out the other way because I didn't want to. And she's like, give me that, girl. You wasting it. I'm like, because I didn't want to feel playbill. I'm thinking I'm going to get a dime bag of weed. So that was my introduction to crack firsthand in the hood. So I still began to run away. I began to get promiscuous, drinking alcohol. Didn't even like it. Just somewhere where I felt like somebody just give me attention. It's really what happened because I wasn't getting it, like that. And so that began my cycle. That was at the age of 15, 16. My mom was really trying to do what she needed to do for all of us. Mind you, she was getting 2 checks from me, an SSI check and my dad's Social Security. My brother, she was getting a Social Security from my brother and my sister. So basically she was using that money to make sure we had somewhere to, live and all that. And when I started running away, she used to get pissed off at me, and I'm like, and she used to call the cops on me, and I'm like, I went back to what they would do to me. I'm like, hey, you gonna call the cops on me? I ain't doing that with you. This is the mind frame. She was mad because if I wasn't there at home, she wouldn't get that money for me. But so I was running away, and I never really got high off of crack until I was with these some white people, Scott and them, and I I got not you. He was he was
That guy.
No, he was taller than you.
Nah,
I'm telling you, bald headed too. No.
Oh God, no.
Oh no. Yeah, he was.
We
he was
snitching.
big. Oh no, I'm not a snitch. Not in that way.
I'm just joking.
Not that way. There's a way to care about somebody and talk to them versus going snitching. You're just gonna make the situation worse.
That.
Well, I'm gonna snitch on you when I can put you to the side and say, look, let me talk to you, bro. Give him some wisdom.
Is that what you said to him whenever?
Who?
In the story, you pulled him up to the side.
Oh, you talking about him? No, I'm talking about the other Scott.
Oh, no,
I'm talking about somebody else. We're in the story.
Come on, bro.
You done got long. Oh my God.
Golly.
You gotta keep
I'm just in the story, dude. I'm in the story. Just everybody come. I'm sorry.
You need another
Continue.
cup of coffee to stay
No, he
focused.
don't. That's why his brain going crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so go ahead.
Okay. So, anyways, again, I'm still green to that, but I learned really, really fast. So, I was introduced to shooting cocaine. I was scared of needles, but I was hanging with them. I used to watch them. I could have got myself killed because they were shooting up and stuff. They're talking about there's a little man now out the window. I'm like, what? I'm like, I throw the window back. I'm like, really? I could have got myself killed because they really believed in seeing that stuff.
Mm-hmm. So those are whenever your dad died is kind of when you started running away and then you started getting into that life. So tell us a little bit about what happened that caused you to go to prison, and then talk about your transition from free world to prison.
So basically, from then on, I learned really fast about the street life. I wasn't green for very long. You couldn't be, or you'd find yourself dead or tricked out there.
Right.
So I started smoking crack. I would shoot cocaine every once in a while. I didn't like needles. So, but I was out there and I was prostituting. I was prostituting the females out there. Mm-hmm. I wasn't one of them that the men was going out there pimping them. You couldn't pimp me. You ain't getting my money. So that was my motto. Guess what? That's the
entrepreneur.
only.
I like that.
That was the only way that I knew.
Giving you my bread. I worked hard.
Yeah. Shoot, really? No, but I was getting cars. Didn't have my license. Give some of them crack. Guess what? I didn't rent your car. So I had all those things. I learned how to hustle really, really fast. Just like I was when I'm out there in the street selling drugs and stuff like that. I learned, this is a white girl in the hood, right? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of them underestimated me, but they learned real fast. Don't play with her. Mm-hmm. And I got involved with a lot of people that were like big time dope dealers and stuff like that. So I was always like, on my hustle, making money, and I was always running by myself. But then I got with this guy. Every time I get with a guy, I get in trouble. I need to stay away from me.
Yeah.
So, first of all, he knew what I was doing, but he liked my hustle stuff, and I guess it was a relation. I guess it wasn't. I don't know. He was selling, I was selling, but I was smoking this stuff and all this other stuff. But anyways, that night because there's a lot of stories in between. Yeah, so I'm going to jump up. So this is the night, this is what happened whenever I got my charge. So my MO wasn't stealing and all that other stuff. Mine was, look, I just sell this. I know how to make money. I know how to conversation. I get money. It's faster. That was my MO. Because other people were getting killed doing the stuff they were doing. So I got introduced to him. I got introduced to a gun. So mind you, as a young girl, my mind was getting molded. I was scared of guns. But the more I was hanging around that gun, it was molding me. I started carrying it around with me, riding around with me. I stole a gun. We stole a gun. We hit somebody up. That wasn't my MO either. Taking stuff from people. You take something from somebody, you're going to find yourself dead somewhere in an alley. Mm-hmm. That's what I was like. So anyways, there's so many stories in between. But anyways, July the 15th, him and his brother was at the hotel or whatever, and I'm like, I needed money. I wanted to get high. His brother, and they were smoking weed, playing, Game Boy or whatever. So I'm like, I'm finna go out. I'm finna go hit a hustle or whatever. So when I left out at the motel and I walked around the corner, I seen a white van. In the street life, white guys are gullible. Mm-hmm. I'm just being real. That's how I looked at them.
No,
and I say that because as a little girl, I was molested by my uncle. So white men just turned me off, because I don't know why. Back then, so
probably because it's attachment to something tragic.
So it's like I gravitated toward black men. But anyways, that night I seen the guy was sitting in the van, and so I walked up to him. I'm like, "You okay, sir? Or whatever." And he was drunk. I was like, well, I said, you want me to drive you home? I said, you can give me the taxi money. money for a taxi and I can come back. So we began to talk or whatever, and I got in the van, and the lady that was in the bar across the street, she wound up coming out. He got out and talked to her, and she came up to the van, and this is what the lady said. She said, nothing better not happen to him. And I'm looking at her like, ain't nothing finna happen to him. I'm like, but anyway, so when we left, I got in the driver's seat, and he was telling me where he lived at. But the thing is, he didn't tell me where he lived at. He was taking me somewhere else, and it was dark, and I started freaking out. Mind you, I'm high, but not really high. I'm wanting to get high. And so it got dark, and I'm like, he started talking to me about sex and stuff. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I don't want no sex. You said you was going to give me taxi money. I was going to hitchhike back to go get my drugs. I mean, why
You're
get a
just going to take the taxi money
Yes.
and then just...
Hustle mentality.
Yeah.
So in that process, when he stopped and it was a dark area, I didn't even know it was the American Legion. It was a dark area. To me, I was like, oh, something to happen to me. And I had the gun on me too, but my intentions was never to kill the guy. So we began to tassel and struggle or whatever, and I pulled the gun out and shot him. It freaked me out, and I left. I went down to the street. There was a store down the road. Some parts is like blurred, but I went to the first store, and then I called so-called boyfriend. I said, look, I need y'all to come pick me up. I need you to come pick up. I'm at such and such store. So they came pick me up. I'm a nervous wreck. I'm like, so they came pick me up. We went back to the room. And I told him what I said. I said, look, I just shot somebody. I said, I just shot somebody. He ain't trying to tell me, well, we got to get away from here, all that. You know, you in street life, you know, you got to move around, get away. At the same time, I didn't try to kill him. The next day, boom, 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 boom. Me, I'm like, I'm not caring really who. I thought it was somebody coming by drugs from the guy I was with. When I did it, it was a white guy and it was a light-skinned black guy. I remember Detective Demery's name. I don't remember the white guy's name. But I opened up the door, and they started talking to me about the guy or whatever. I'm honest. I'm like, well, yeah, I was with him, and I had bruises and stuff on me. I said, yeah, I was with him. I said, and my boyfriend, he started, like, just going crazy and stuff. If you knew or whatever, he was just like, I'm like, I said, I shot him. I said, he was trying to take advantage of me. I said, I shot him. I said, I didn't know what else to do. He was like, okay. He says, well, look. He said, I need you to get in the car, and we need to go down to the station, and we just need to talk to you. And then he took the boyfriend, and he took his brother in another car, so they separated. So we get down there, so, you know, I told them what happened, you know, and I guess they told them what happened or whatever. The next thing I know, because the detective told me, he says, well, look, we're going to make sure you go to the hospital so you can get, you know, checked out or whatever. Never happened. They put me in the city jail. And next thing I know, I'm getting booked with second-degree murder, $250,000 bond. So that started. Oh, that was an eye opener for me. So after I got booked and everything, from the city, they wound up taking me to Caddo. And so while I was sitting there, I remember sitting in the pod and I'm looking at TV and I'm like, life has got to get better than this. That was the first step that I started in wanting to change my life. So I began to read my word and stuff like that, and I became a Christian, and I got in my word, and it wasn't easy. I still had the hood stuff, but I was also trying to live what the word of God said, too.
How old are you whenever this is all happening?
At that time, I was 19. I was 19.
So
I was 2 days before my 19th birthday.
So 19, been involved in the life since you were about, like, what, 12, 13 years old?
Yes.
On your own since you were 13, 14?
Well, you might as well say about maybe 8, 9 years old after my dad lost his business, because we were ripping and running from state to state, school to school. I'm watching them cook drugs, all kind of stuff. You know, when a person gets involved with drugs, you just watch everything destroy. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
So they hemmed you up, they put you in the city jail, and then court. So
well, they
happened?
moved me to the felony, which was at Caddo. Mm-hmm. And so I stayed there 15 months. So I went back and forth. But this is the thing about my case. Have you ever heard of somebody 2 months later going before a grand jury and testifying?
That's pretty
It's
quick.
not likely. Because, see, before they can keep you, they have to bring back a bill of indictment. They charged me, but they had to bring back a bill of indictment to keep me. They had to have evidence. I had already admitted what I did. So my lawyer was like, well, look, You just go in there and you tell them your story. And this is the crazy thing. When I went in there, they begin to question me. The DA's in the back, and they got the 12 people in there. I'm telling them everything that what happened. And I told him, I said, well, look, I was at this, and I was going the back way to such and such on Lake Shore, and the detective got aggressive. He says, no, you're not. You're lying. There's not no. It was a lady said, excuse me, sir, this child ain't lying. She says, I live over there. So I'm like, it was the grace of God that just shut him down. But I told him what happened or whatever, and 2 days later, they dropped my charge from second-degree murder to manslaughter and dropped my bond. Of course, I didn't have money to bond out. So I wound up going October the 31st was the day that they gave me my sentence. So I pled guilty to manslaughter, but mind you, when I went into the jail, I also got charged with Schedule 2 and contraband because the drugs that he had when I got arrested, I had them on me so that they couldn't find them. And in my mind, when I get in the city jail or whatever, I'm thinking I got this stuff on me or whatever. I asked somebody, I'm like, look, you got something? I got this stuff, you want it, whatever. They was like, no. When I got transported to the felony one, she ratted on me, so they came and strip searched me, and so I got those 2 charges. But I wound up pleading out to manslaughter. They dropped those 2 charges. They was trying to scare me with an enhancement charge or whatever. My lawyer was like, okay, well, look, they're going to give you this or whatever, and she just was telling me what she wanted me to hear. I went in before the judge or whatever. By that time, I'd got my GED, trying to get my life together because I'm like, I don't want to keep living the way I was living. I need something better. I want something different. So the judge was like, I respect you coming in here and admitting what you did. And she said, you got your GED and blah, blah, blah. She said, your charge carries 0 to 40 years. She said, you can get probation. She said, but you know what? I wrestled with your case. She says, I'm sitting you 30 years in prison. I just looked. I was like, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, damn, you should just gave me 40. That's in my mind frame back then.
Right.
I didn't say it, thank God. But so once I got that, as soon as I got that, a few days later, they shipped me to Lake Providence. I was at Lake Providence 7 months, and that's when the incident happened with the security guard.
The Amazonian.
Not only that, but with that happening, it helped some other long-termers to get hurried and shipped out, too, because it's like, oh, Lord, we got these long-termers in here. They're finna nut up in here. Let's get them out of here. Mm-hmm. So they sent me to St. Gabriel. But the only way they could send me to St. Gabriel and not let me go to a lockdown is the captain said, look, this is how we're going to do it. I'm going to give you what you want. But I'm going to have to send you on mental health watch. I said, okay. Because I want to get out of there. So once I got shipped over there, they just had me on a 7-day watch in a cell. After that, I was released to the compound.
Did they put you in a turtle suit?
Absolutely not. Never been in one since I prison. I
never went to the public what a turtle suit is?
A turtle suit is if you're cutting up in there or if you say you're going to commit suicide, everything's coming off butt naked. You're getting put in a padded cell with this green padded turtle suit is what it looked. Ninja turtle. Ninja turtle suit.
I was in the Donatello suit one time.
What?
Yeah,
really?
That's how I got the split in the back of my head of guard.
Wow. You was cutting up, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was probably.
I got charges for that too because I punched him, knocked him down, and I got every single guard in Livingston Parish Jail. Wow. I was on the old jail, and I was hallucinating from Xanax and Oxycontin.
Oh Lord!
And I was screaming, and he come down. This was probably in 2008 maybe. Anyways, I was detoxing, hallucinating. I didn't know what was going on.
So you was doing drugs while you was locked up?
No, I went in. I got arrested and I was detoxing. Okay. So about 3 days later is when it kicked in.
Wow.
And so anyways, he come back there. And I seen something. He hit me with that mag light. When I seen blood, I just freaked out, put him in a headlock, and I started smoking him. And somehow or another, he...
Flashback.
Lando. And they all come. And back in the old jail, there was a pod in the middle and then cells all the way around.
Like A, B, C, D.
A, B, C, D.
I bet you didn't even have a toilet. You had a hole in the floor, huh?
I was they had me on a back hall.
Okay.
I was with mats. There was no toilet. There was a door that I actually escaped out of one time. Miss Velma Wheat, she'll tell you the story. I escaped and I didn't leave the jail. I was sitting outside at night watching the stars on the basketball court. And she come out there, will you please come in?
How old were you?
Sure.
How old were you
like
at the time?
22, 23.
Oh, yeah.
So, anyways, I go back, and long story short, so I saw the blood. Them guards come back there, and they grabbed me out of that hall, and they took my head and hit every single bar on the wraparound to get to the hall, to get to the front of the jail.
Lawsuit.
And there's a hall outside hall in between where the dorms are to the administrative part where the lockdown is up front. He flipped me upside down and a couple other dudes, and they were banging my head on the concrete. And my stuff was busted wide open. I had to get staples in the back of my head.
Wow.
And then they put me in an isolation cell for like 40 days. I lost like 60 pounds. I didn't even know Hurricane Gustav had hit.
Wow.
My mom and them was trying to come visit me. Couldn't come see me. And but anyways, I said all that to say I was in a turtle suit prior to that.
Right.
Turtle suit.
Turtle suit. You finna get stripped butt naked.
That was a good little tangent, and we circled back.
But you know what? With that turtle suit, this is the thing with the women. So I know women that were put in turtle suits, but then you got men patrolling. For a woman, that's disgraceful.
Yeah, I know.
You know, there's just like you said
Probably
earlier.
humiliating, huh?
Very humiliating. Yes. First of all, they stripped them down. That's a woman. They had to call the team, the guy team, to come out and do all that because the women, they didn't have enough women. That's humiliating to a woman emotionally and mentally. That's scarring. Mm-hmm. But that's inside the prison, something that the public don't even know about. But anyways, let me go back to my story because it's a lot. I'm gonna cut a lot out. So during my 20-year doing incarceration, so I started working for the warden. Well, when I got at St. Gabriel, I started off as picking grass. After
goose picking?
Goose picking, yes, goose picking.
You want to tell everybody what goose picking is?
So goose picking is that, you know, everybody in the prison works. It don't matter if you're old. It don't matter if you're in a wheelchair. You're going to work. If you got to sit there at a table and perpetrate and act like you're wiping a table, back then you get right up if you wasn't doing what you're supposed to do. And it was petty stuff back then. But so goose picking is you're out in a yard and stuff and you got to go pick. They plant these grass or whatever, and they want you to go pick it and like you're shorting it down and pick up trash on the yard, and depends on what kind of security you get. Some you can go sit on the ground and just perpetrate, but then you'd have some come in, you couldn't sit down, so you squatted down for like 8 hours, you know, but you got count time or whatever. But anyways, I'm very detailed, so I'm gonna have to jump around. So I was in inner yard, which that's what they called it. After that, I got into the garment factory. When I got into the garment factory, I'm a fast learner. Mr. Sam, he taught me everything I needed to know. I didn't know nothing. I just watched him. I was running the line. I learned how to sew on the big operating machines. I learned how to fix them. I learned how to do the tool shed. I learned how to do secretary work. I was running the line. I was never the team leader because I was always pushing stuff through. And when they'd have trouble, I would jump over there and I'm like, let me fix it for you. And I'd go. So I was pushing stuff down the line. But after that, I wound up getting a call. No, I broke my feet. I won a lawsuit in there. I wanted to break it. It's their fault. You know, they have the bunk beds in a
Did you
small.
get paid?
It's a room like absolutely. I'm about to tell you. It's a room like this. So you got a bunk bed here. You got a single bed here. You have this huge stand-up locker that has two sides. Then a sink right here. 2 foot lockers for the one that's on top rack. So the ladder where it's facing for the thing, it was obstructed. So when I came down, my roommate was there, and I didn't see her. I wound up falling and breaking both my feet. Like, not
damn, both feet?
Both feet, not just one,
yeah.
both. So they took me to the hospital, whatever. I was in a walking boot, and I was in a cast in the next one, and got a lawyer out of New Orleans. We had the hospital records. I had matter of fact, I was the one that drew the picture of the whole cell for my lawyer. Sent that to him and everything. And so long story short, they did a deposition or whatever. They were in the wrong. I won $15,000.
Hey, and for a person in prison,
I'm about to tell you.
big commissary.
It is.
That's like 2 zeros at
Wait a minute.
at the end of it.
That carried me out the last 10 years of my jokes.
15 grand?
No. First of all, the lawyer took almost half.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, he's mad at me because I'm like, look, like, whatever. And I basically pushed him to hurry up and settle out instead of drawing it out. I'm like, I'm already in prison. I don't have nobody support me. I was doing hair. I was doing eyebrows. You couldn't get caught doing that or you were going to get rolled up. But I was hustling.
Illegal salon, huh?
No, it was illegal
That's
salon.
what I'm saying.
It was called self-mutilation. So I was
That's
in
the
there.
right. That's for the people outside. Self-mutilation is not what you're thinking. You can get self-mutilation for masturbating.
Yep.
You can get self-mutilation for doing hair, and
Eyebrows.
makeup,
Eyebrows with a string.
tattoos.
Yes.
So there's a variety of different things that you get wrote up for. Things that we
Ignorant.
do on the outside that are normal that
Right.
everybody does. You'll go to the cell blocks for doing that.
Right. So
Sounds a lot worse.
self-mutilation in prison is not like a cutter that's out there cutting himself.
Yeah.
It's two different things.
So so you won.
So I wanted. He took almost half. So I came in with 8,000. I blessed my best friend with 2,000. Sent money home to my mama. I did a savings account. First savings account I ever did in my life. So I put all my money in the savings account. Not all of it, but I managed my money. I managed my money because guess what? I'm not going to buy no $5 ham when I can get a case of noodles that's going to keep me to the next week. Because I'm not a person. I'm not going to go begging. I'm
Top
not going to
ramen.
ask you.
Shout out Top Ramen.
Ramen noodles. That's right. It'll get you through. Guess
I'm
what?
still eating it. I still eat it every day.
This is the thing like I used to tell them.
Hot, spicy beef.
The doctor say, an apple keep the doctor away. I said, baby, a noodle will keep the hunger away, honey.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you a question because we're getting towards the end. What all programs did you participate in at LCI?
Every last one that they had.
Give us a short list.
As a long termer, they were hard to get into the short term until you got short time. So, celebrate recovery, substance abuse 2 or 3 times.
Any educational programs?
I got my bachelor's degree in communication and modern
Damn.
business administration through Ashland University. They didn't come on the scene till after the 2016 flood.
Yep.
Okay, so also, me and my best friend, we started our ministry before seminary even came on the scene. We had a room. We were ministering already to the compound. We were out. We wasn't with the church setting. If y'all, you have your church setting, and we wasn't with them. We were on the outside. We were being real with the people where you had the church people was actually, just playing with them. We were just being real life with them. But anyways, that's another story. So, I did sign language. I wound up dropping out of that because I didn't like to be controlled. And they were going to tell me what I was going to do. But you're trying to educate me and you're putting me in a situation. I ain't even made an interpreter yet. I'm good with sign language. My niece was deaf when she was young. So I'm looking, I'm like, no. So they were going to pay me 80 cents an hour.
That's what I got
I looked
paid.
at them. I looked at that lady. I said, ma'am, keep your money.
I got some nails to do.
Keep your money. Guess what? Money don't move me.
Okay, shit.
Baby, give me what I had. Then she dropped me back down to 16 cents. I was working for the ward. Guess I worked my way up, but I also had to wait on God. I got in the dog program, so I was a dog trainer for 2 years. Then after that, school came on board. Ashland University. Got my bachelor's degree. I had a dean every semester. Deans. I got inducted into the ACA, which is the American Communication Association, which is, I forgot what sorority it was. I mean,
Ayo,
But,
FAMU.
It's the
No.
LCIW sorority.
No,
I'm playing.
actually, Ashland, no.
I know,
To be
I know.
honest with you, with Ashland and all that, because I have an ability. I'm a fast learner. All you got to do is show me one time. And I'm not like, I'm feminine, but I'm tomboyish. Move out the way. I got this, So, anyways, in that situation with school and stuff, I was out on the yard spending time with the other ones that were
Tutoring.
no, not tutoring. No, I was doing this on my own time. The ones that, first of all, I'm a fast learner, so I had no dealings with technology. I got on this side, okay, we're going to figure it out. So I learned all that by myself. So the people that didn't know, I take out my time, hours at a time, out there with the ones that were struggling. Okay, baby, this is how you do
Are you
it.
talking about the JP4 players?
No. We had Chromebooks. Yes.
Bro, she's on that new stuff.
Yeah,
At
yeah.
LCIW, I had Chromebooks.
We got them after the flood, and that's when Tulane came in, and then they
Or
had
Tulane got the money.
no, but Ashland was on the scene first.
They're tapping into the JP at Rayburn. I just went the other day. They done broke the firewall.
Oh, they've been doing that
and
at
they're
the
doing all
men.
that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways,
But so with that, so no, I would.
so you got your degree in communication and then minor in business administration.
Yes, but in the midst of all that, though, I was ministering to the compound, working for the warden, and also spending my time out there dealing with people because I love teaching people. If you don't have education, come on, baby, I'll spend hours with you. Mm-hmm. Just because I don't want to see somebody uneducated. So with all that, then came the clemency when Governor Bell Edwards came in, and everybody was like, I'm like, but finally, I did the application and everything, and with all that, a year went by. I went to clemency in November. Matter of fact, it was 2 days before Thanksgiving. And I went in, I prepared myself. I was doing resumes, everything I did for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sending it to the pardon board. I said, I just wanted to show them what I was doing and accomplishing. Nobody helped me. I was doing that on my own. And so when I went before them, and it was 5 of them, so the victim's advocate basically, like, he was for me, like, he did his history on me, and it's like he showed where I was a child and how I gravitated for what happened. So I had opposition. It was very devastating for me. I got granted, but I'll never forget when she got to talk, and she was like, "You're a murderer. You're manipulating me." I'm looking at her like, but my heart was, I understood where that woman was because my dad was murdered.
Mm-hmm.
So I understood the anger, but at the same time, I feel I understand forgiveness too.
Mm-hmm.
So I know both sides. So I had been praying for that lady, but she had anger. So it was devastating for me because I took her brother from her. That was devastating, emotionally and mentally. Again, I had to deal with it throughout the years. So anyways, after that, I got granted. I was the first one. 3 months later, I was on my manslaughter charge. Governor signed my seal. It was March the 9th or 10th. I didn't get out until June, 9th, because, you had to wait for parole or whatever. But the thing is, I went in there and represented myself. Matter of fact, the victim's advocate, Alvin, I forgot what Slaughter was his name, he was basically representing me. I'm like, I ain't gonna say nothing. But the second part, the parole project came in because I'm like, I can't go back
Andy?
I can't go back to Shreveport. I need somewhere, and I'm about resources, because I went to jail before that. And I'm like, no. So when I got into St. Gabriel, I was about resources. I was about re-entry. I need to know because I want to survive when I get out this time. So with that being said, I didn't really know a lot about Andy or whatever. I knew Christy Sherman, because I did time with her.
They do some great. We had Andy on the podcast, and he was on Bloody Andrew.
Yeah, I seen it. As a matter of fact, I seen him the other day. I was over there.
So tell me, what year did you get released?
2021.
2021.
I've been out almost 2 years.
Yeah, that's right. So let me ask you this: what was your greatest challenge getting released?
Well, if you go look at it's a site on YouTube when I got donated a car through Ben Castro Freedom Rides, and I had a guy ask me what was my greatest challenge when I got out.
Yeah.
My greatest challenge was after being confined in a small space, coming out, it felt like a merry-go-round. I've never dealt with anxiety. 2 weeks I dealt with anxiety, but I also dealt with, first of all, I know I'm a beautiful woman. I know I am, and men just are attracted to me, but I was mindful I came out of a life of prostitution too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So for me, that was fearful for me because I knew that wasn't my lifestyle anymore. I changed my life. God showed me what I was
You've
worth.
been in prison 20 years, and the guy's,
flirting
or whatever.
No. In the women's prison, you know what I'm saying, you don't deal with it. So in a confined space, basically women. So me coming out after God done changed me and told me my self-worth, I'm getting out and men and stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not that person. To me, it was awkward.
Understandable.
It was very awkward. But to be mindful, when I got out, I was already doing applications I had 11 interviews, but they were working and they got me the job at Louisiana Property Assistant Agent. Who gets out after doing 20 years and get a state job?
You?
Well, me, yeah, absolutely, but some other ones too. But for me, I'm like,
holy moly,
this is awesome.
Big time.
Yes, so
It's
this
what
is
you prayed
awesome.
for.
Absolutely. Well, I don't know about praying. That was extra. That was lanyard.
Yeah.
But with that, I started working at Louisiana Property Assistant Agency.
So what are the other jobs that
So
you have?
after that, I left. I wound up getting on at Mike Anderson's.
There you go.
So for the last year and a half, I was working at LPAA. I was working at Mike Anderson's. I had other side jobs. I was helping the women that were getting out if they needed a ride and they couldn't get one. I was giving them rides here and there. They were paying me gas money. I was helping them with their phones and stuff because they didn't understand technology. So I was just giving back too because I wanted to see them get it. I was doing speaking engagements, going different places. I was just
You said you also have a house cleaning business.
I don't have a business, but God done blessed me with 4 people's house to clean. So
let's announce to the public if you need a reliable cleaning lady.
No, not yet. Now, if you get in contact with me, I can get you some ladies that can come clean. Right now, I got too many jobs coming out the. Now, if you want to give me an at-home job and you want to give me on a computer where I can at home and the pay's right, call me. Anyways, but no. So
I
the
like
thing,
it.
but this is the thing. I want to hit on this. So after all that says, get my own car, my own apartment, a bank account, savings, credit, and check-ins. Awesome. Within 6 months, no score to a 710. So got donated a car because I was out there working my butt off because I knew when I got out, I need to get me a car because guess what? I'm not going to be walking. No.
Yeah, you got to get around.
So I was saving my money because that's what I wanted to do. That's why I was stressing to them. Look, I need help. I don't know how to do this. But in the process of that, I was blessed with I got it out there now. It's not brand new. It's 2012 Nissan Altima. Guess what?
Shout out.
Yes.
Wait, so how'd you end up winning this car? How'd you end up getting gifted this car?
Well, first
We
of
need to
all,
sign up for it.
well, you have to get with Ben Castro with that, but he's so busy right now. But that situation came about, and I didn't find out till later, was so my name was recommended to him through the Parole Project. But before that, my site director at Ashland University, because Ben also went through Ashland University.
Is Ben formerly incarcerated?
Yes, he is.
Oh, same team. Same team.
I'm pretty sure I've heard of
Yes,
him.
he does. I think he works with them chains, Ideal Market and stuff like that, New Orleans. Stuff. Him and his wife stayed there. They got one out there on Burbank. So, anyways, my site director said, "Oh yeah, Alisha." So I got 2 different recommendations, but not only that, when I got out, I was about my business. I knew what I needed to do. I'm getting it. And, great success story. But also you got to understand, too, there's something that I did not experience. I've never been in a relationship with a man. In that process, I was trying to do what I needed to do. I got in a relationship. It was good, but he got on drugs. And
Damn.
I wound up doing well, first of all, I got pregnant last year. Happy. Lost the baby because it was in my tubes. That was devastating for me. So not only was I going to the hospital every week for them to see what was going on with me, whenever they had to give me a shot to dissolve the pregnancy, I was there by myself.
Damn.
Me and him just talked. We had to talk about it. We're not together. Well, we're not together. He has a situation. He's in rehab and got in trouble, and it's a long story. But I wound up doing ecstasy. And then the emotions, I opened up my emotions. So you got to understand, as a young girl, I ain't had no emotions being in the streets. You had to be
Tough.
hardcore. Yes,
Yep.
Absolutely. So dealing with no feelings to going to prison, guarded feelings, to coming out here, and all of a sudden my feelings is awakened. I'm a woman now. I know what I want. And for me as a woman, that caused my downfall. It was my bad, though. It was my bad. But at the same time, I didn't know how to get out of it.
You learned a valuable lesson.
Yes, you're right. Absolutely.
So
through that, I watched myself go all the way down. I was so stupid to sign for a truck form with my credits.
Damn.
Co-signed for him a 2008
happens.
Chevy. Yeah, it will never happen again. Guess what? All you do is teach me one time. Baby.
that's right.
It.
You could burn me once, you can't burn me twice.
Absolutely. No.
Well, we're almost out of time, but you've got a hell of a story.
I got to finish it because y'all need to know.
Okay.
So through all that, I wound up having to go into rehab because I was stressed out about all the things I was going through. It wasn't the drugs that had me. I didn't need rehab. I needed somebody to talk to me about the relationship, these emotions I was feeling. That's what I needed, but I understood their situation, put me in a rehab, but I couldn't do the rehab. I was going to lose my mind. They wanted me to teach the classes. I'm like, I'm in here for me. I'm like, no, I AMA'd myself out. I lost support in the area, but I'm like, I'll live in my car. I can't do this anymore. I just need somebody that I can talk to, express myself, to help me. So through that, God raised up some people. So right now I'm living with a guy. He said, you can live upstairs rent-free. His daughter helped me get a job. In my struggle of losing my apartment, wound up getting terminated from a state job. And but when he came in and some other people stepped up and you don't do that to somebody when they fall. Things happen. And immediately I started climbing right back up. I've worked at Circle K, Freddy's, house jobs. And the state job, they was like, well, 6 months, they know my work. They called me a couple weeks ago. I'm going back to my state job Monday. I'm cleaning 4 houses. Speaking of gate, it's coming out. Matter of fact, before I pulled up, I had another guy that I know. He just called. He said, "Hey, I got this job. You want it?" I said, "Well, look, I talk later. I'm pulling up over here." So, but at the same time, don't turn your nose down at somebody when they fall.
Mm-hmm. It's easy to
Don't
do.
be self-righteous and don't be like, this is the way. Rehab. No, it's not always rehab. Yeah, people need rehab. But for me, after doing my time, guess what? I needed somebody at the time with me, somebody that understood what I was going through. I didn't need to go sit in a rehab where you sitting hours not doing anything, then go for 1 or 2 hours, stuff that I already knew. First of all, I was a mentor for 5 years teaching the same stuff to women out of St. Tammany Parish. I didn't need that. I knew what I needed to do.
Regurgitated stuff. You needed somebody who like.
You need somebody to talk to.
Yeah,
I needed somebody to be real
I think
with me.
like a companion kind
one of the
but not
things
like
that happens often, and I know that we're running out of time, Jim, but the thing that happens often is guys or girls come home and they might be doing great, right? And then some of the old habits or some of the old characteristics or behaviors pop back up. And people will shun them when they make some mistakes because we can't make mistakes because we already have this blemished past.
Well, this wasn't an old mistake.
No,
this was
I'm
new,
just saying in general.
Yeah.
But so it's harder for us to shake back.
Right.
And I always appreciate when a person can catch themselves, get back on track and do it. So you're doing that.
Absolutely.
You're an example of that, and we're proud of you.
Absolutely.
And we definitely want to see you keep succeeding. But we
Absolutely.
appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate y'all for inviting me. Thank
Yeah,
y'all.
no problem. You got a great
What
story.
a great story. Thank you so much.